everybody. My name is April Muir. I was asked by our wonderful Reverend Betsy here to speak a little bit about hypnosis. And so I decided to pick the topic of self-hypnosis. And I like to educate people and bring awareness to how powerful the mind is and how we need to be sure about where we're directing that power. Having intent in our thoughts is extremely important. And once you learn how to use your own mind to work for you, you're not going to be as easily manipulated by your surroundings, like the TV and computer and other people. So I've always found it very important to teach people just certain suggestions. So let's do a little exercise. So I want you all to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that I just walked over to you with a plate of fresh, juicy, tart lemons. I cut it into the lemon, and I cut a wedge out of this juicy, tart, sour lemon, and you place it in your mouth. The juicy, tart, sour juice drips down your throat, and I give you another juicy, tart, sour wedge of lemon. And you chew into it, allowing the juice to drip down your throat. Now I'm going to count from 1 to 3. You're going to open your eyes, and 1, 2, 3. So open your eyes. Did anyone have any
Oh, yeah.
changes? There you go. Yeah, exactly. So everyone here had, or pretty much everyone here, had a physiological response to that simple suggestion of a juicy, tart, sour lemon. So as we can imagine, no pun intended, how powerful the mind is by simply suggesting positive things. And then the other alternative is when we allow negative thoughts to come in, they're literally coming in and creating a little hotbed of negativity, self-doubt, and then it just builds from there. That's why it's important to clear out the negative thought patterns and replace them with positive thought patterns, and realizing that we're doing this on a subconscious and conscious level. So one thing I always like to make for my clients is, it's called personalized program recording, but you can find them on YouTube. They are positive program recordings that are intended to change negative behavior to positive behavior on a subconscious level. So you listen to it while you're sleeping, and honestly, we don't realize how many times we're going into hypnosis during the day. So have you ever been driving in your car and you're gonna go home, and then all of a sudden you're home, and it's like, that was weird. Strange little time lapse there. No, you probably were not abducted by aliens. You simply were in what we call highway hypnosis. So have you ever been watching TV, next thing you know, it's 3 hours later. Honestly, I can't do that. I get very fidgety. But you can literally lose a whole day just watching videos and things like that, and you have no idea what happened to time. So when we are in a hypnotic state, our concept of time is skewed. So we can think things are a lot quicker or a lot faster than what they actually were. So let's see here. So the program recording is very positive suggestions that's going to automatically engage your subconscious mind, that will allow you to have more positive thoughts throughout your day without you really even having to try. So that's cool, right? All right, so what happens is when people come against their subconscious mind, it's like trying to rewrite a program that's been running for your whole life. It's just not going to work. You have to take it out, rewrite it, and then bam, you have a new life. Sounds a lot easier, but with healing and other modalities like pranic healing. So what I like to teach people, if they're open to it as well, is clearing the subconscious mind is one thing, but then we have cords and attachments, and our whole field has been running this program, and it's now activated with that old negative thinking. Fear is a big one, right? We were just talking about that.
Yeah, fear.
So fear is a big issue. We're literally being hypnotized into this fear place. You know how we've all had that one person who all of a sudden they wake up and they're in their 50s and they're like, what happened? Why didn't I live my life? And they were too afraid to take adventures. They were too afraid to get married, too afraid to commit to something because they were afraid. Next thing you know, life is there. It's done. It's gone. That is, if you can understand and like put yourself in that person's place of being paralyzed by fear and anxiety, you really don't have that concept of time. So essentially, it's kind of like being in hypnosis, right? You're being hypnotized by this negative program. So as we go about our life, everyone, and you can tell when that person has been living in that fear for so long, you're just like, whoa, you don't want to go near them. You're afraid it's going to contagious, So in pranic healing, and that's just one of the wonderful healing modalities that I like, is, you just imagine you're sweeping your field around you, just sweeping, and just kind of, imagine everyone here probably knows pranic healing, right?
I don't do pranic healing.
Oh. So, okay, let's do a little exercise for clearing our energy field around us. Anyone and everyone can do it. So, first, cutting cords. So I want you to imagine that your hand is like a sword of the Archangel Michael, or an amazing sword. Come on. All right, so now we're gonna imagine that this sword is literally cutting through cords and cut. You're gonna visualize, know that the power of the mind is literally cutting the cords between you and that negative person or any conversation you have with another person. You need to cut those cords, okay? Because we are linked. So what happens when we're talking and communicating to somebody, we are exchanging data, okay? It's information, right? So that data, until we tell it to unlink, it's gonna stay there. And we find ourselves tired, exhausted, and we don't know why. So now we have to cut the cords from the back of us, because we are not linear. We're actually, going on and on and on, forever and ever and ever. So now I want you to close your eyes and visualize the back of you. You can see the back of your head, your back, your shoulders. Now take your beautiful, powerful hand and cut all cords on the back of you. Cut. All right, the power of the mind and intention. So beautiful. Now open your eyes. So did anyone feel any lighter or any experience at all? Or you just, no? That's okay. So another thing we can do to clear our energy field is we can activate our hands. So push a little bit on the palms of your hands. Okay, beautiful. Rub your hands together. Warm. Ah, beautiful. All right, so we can do this. It goes up, inhale, exhale. Okay, we're gonna do this 12 times. Inhale, exhale. Beautiful. Inhale, exhale. Know you are clearing your space. You're activating it with light by your sheer intention of wanting to be cleared and positive. Beautiful. Wonderful. So, after the 12th one, just simply enjoy how it feels and know that you're clear and you assisted your aura in being clearer. How much time do I have?
Oh, you still got some.
Okay. So, let's do another little hypnotic exercise, okay? So I want you all to put your arms out in front of you. All right, you're just gonna simply listen, tune yourself into the sound of my voice as if you're listening to a song that you enjoy. Super simple. The sound of my voice is going to change in cadence, allowing you to tune in a calm, soothing way. Now I want you to lock your elbows and imagine that I just tied 2 huge helium balloons over your left arm. These are the kind of helium balloons we get from Disney and the fair. They're huge, they're massive. Now on your right arm, I take a leather belt buckle and I have it attached to a huge weight. This weight is about 40 pounds. So this is strapped comfortably, but oh so heavy on your right arm. Now on your left, I'm going to tie 4 more helium balloons. Tying them on. And on your right, I'm adding a huge sandbag onto this 40-pound weight. Wonderful. There we go. 5 more pounds. We've got about 70 pounds on this right arm. All right. Now, open your eyes. Take a look at your arms. Now relax. 1, 2, 3. Relax your arms down. Perfect. So, does anyone want to share their experience? Massage always gets a trip out of the.
My hand come all the time like that.
Yeah. So Massage and I worked together for quite a few times, clearing his, past lives and things like that. So we're able to actually disconnect and clear cords from past lives. And sometimes, people will say, oh, April, I feel like I'm carrying something from somebody else. Like, okay, that's fine. We can acknowledge that. The interesting thing about people and our mind is that literally whatever we believe to be true is true. Okay? We can't tell someone, no, well, they got some weird stuff going on these days. People are like, I'm a cat. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not. And no, you're not a unicorn. Nice try. But in general, people believe that they are worthy of receiving love, or they believe that they're not worthy of receiving love. Okay, so this is the perfect example. You could see somebody who has a loving family, and they still feel unloved. They feel alone. They feel isolated. Well, in reality, they aren't. Their family loves them. They just don't feel worthy enough to receive it. Okay, so hypnotherapy is one of the amazing things that is allowing us to open up the heart on a subconscious level. How do we do that, right? We can all be like, oh, let's just clear our heart out, let's sweep out the dust, no big deal, let's all give hugs, yay! But if the person can't receive the love, then there's no amount of hugs in the world that is going to allow them to feel that love. So that's where I bring in the tools of hypnotherapy, because think about it. Some people have been programmed to believe that they're not receiving love, they're not getting love, they're not worthy of it. At some point, oftentimes, it's before the age of 7, could be before the age of 10, but oftentimes, it's before the age of 7, we at some point misinterpreted something our parents said. Something like, oh, if you just weren't doing that or here, then, my life would be so much easier. Ooh, now that adult is now hating themselves. They feel unloved. They feel like they're a burden to everyone, all because of that simple suggestion that was misinterpreted and taken literally from a child perspective. Can we see how that happens? It's harsh, right? How do we fix that one? Well, when we do, everyone here has probably heard about inner child work, right?
Yep.
So hypnotherapy allows us to do that quickly and rapidly on a deep level. So the way I was trained was that we take those parts of us that are trapped in the past and we heal them, nurture them, and grow them up feeling wonderful, full, and into our present day life. And it's amazing how much more energized and focused, and we're not as suggestible when we have all of our parts in one place. We're not scattered, feeling not good enough and not worthy. So the more parts that you can heal, parts I mean different situations, events, relationships. When we are involved in that exchange of communication with other people, we can either choose to stay connected with them, that information. Remember I told you that cord, that's why we cut them. Because you're traveling around with that conversation in your head. You're traveling around with that, oh, what if I had said something different? What did they think about me? Maybe I should have, said this or that. And it's like, okay, now you're stuck in the past. you're continuing to think about something that isn't going to be changed because the conversation's over, and it's just not over in your own mind. So when we bring ourselves to our present self, cut the cords front and back, and simply give the suggestion to your subconscious mind is, I am here and now, I am perfect, whole, and complete. Just like I always have been, and just how I always will be. When people hold guilt, here's another big one. We need to realize that we were always doing the best we could with the given resources that we had at that time. Okay? So when you are judging somebody else, you're kind of judging yourself. So stop doing that. Just stop. Okay? Easy, right? Just stop doing that. Just stop judging other people, love yourself, all that. Well, if we can imagine that part of us that is judging someone else is actually a little child, we want to nurture that child. Visualize that child in front of you. Give that child love. Give that child whatever it wants. That child's inside of you. Say, child, what can I do to make you feel better? And that little child inside of you might say, well, I just wish my dad would have spent more time with me. And well, now oftentimes, the person's in their 50s and they're in the therapy office and they're like, I really wish my dad would spend time with me. It's like, okay, well, it's a little late to be held by daddy at this point. So what do we do? It would just be awkward, right? So we can imagine and visualize and go into this state of this presentness and imagine that you are nurturing that little self, and you give that little self, or you can visualize that little person, your little self, is getting a hug from your father. Put your father there. This is the power of the mind. You can literally imagine, okay, the father's there, you're there, and you're hugging each other. How does it feel? Step into the way that it feels to be hugged by your father. How does it feel? And then you're going to have emotions that are going to come up. You might cry, but allow yourself to identify how you feel. I feel loved. I feel warm. I feel wanted. I feel like I'm heard. I'm appreciated. Beautiful. Now embrace those emotions that were just ignited by that visualization, and imagine growing yourself up to your present day life and holding that part of you that's now healed to you and absorbing and completely becoming, more complete than you were the moments before. So does anyone have any questions? Yes.
This is the chakra alignment.
Mm-hmm.
This one is kind of small.
Mm-hmm.
This is the mind.
Okay.
So can you, the hypnosis, can you make a normal size?
Well, normal would be perspective.
Yeah,
Yes.
normal
But I
size.
understand what you're saying. It's a very good point. So what Masaji was wondering is, can we change things like chakras placement? And so, it's my understanding. So with chakras and all of that stuff, I actually allow my high self to do that work because it's beyond me. So I don't really mess with anyone's chakras per se. I allow my high self to channel through me. So most of the times during my sessions, I record it because my high self is so much smarter than I am. And then I just listen to my high self. I'm like, that's a good point. So when it comes to chakras and things like that, that is, way, way beyond mine, because they're portals, some people believe that chakras are portals. So I don't mess with the time-space thing. It's not my specialty, but my high self is very good at reprogramming the brain, okay? So with the chakras, when someone's in hypnosis, after we do a basic clearing of their belief system that lies in their subconscious mind that was carried on from childhood, we're going to clear that. And we're going to tell them, I know I'm going to get to it, where the person needs to believe that they're worthy of experiencing this phenomenal bliss, this divine channeling that will come through them when they're in this deep state of hypnosis, which everyone doesn't do this, but I do, quantum healing hypnosis and just different things. So if you go to a typical hypnotherapist and you're like, hey, I want to talk to my high self, they're going to be like, how many drugs are you on? It's just not standard practice. So for a person to have their angels speak through them, or their higher self speak through them, we first need to clear the subconscious belief that says, I'm not worthy of embarking on, I'm not worthy of having this energy flow through me, okay? It's gonna cause them fear, you know? When someone gets a lot of energy and, you know, like if you try to give so much love to someone who has never had love, they're going to be scared, okay? That's like the subconscious mind. If you're trying to give it something, it's like, no, I'm not used to that, stop, make it stop. So then it's gonna shut down, cause a barrier so that the energy can't flow through. So the first part of the average sessions that I do, average for me, is clear that out. Then part 2, we are going to go through different scenarios. So I communicate with the subconscious mind. See, subconscious mind, we're here to resolve hatred. Okay, that's a big one. That really sets in your heart and it's deep. And when you're hatred, it's been there a while. Okay, we can be angry, we can be sad, but when someone is hateful, it's deep sadness, and they don't want anyone to know it. So we'll work with hatred. We're gonna have to go in to the subconscious mind and ask the subconscious mind, where did this emotion come from and where did it start? So then usually it goes through 3 different events in that person's life, and they can see it. It's like when you're visualizing and being carried through a meditation. It's the same thing. When we do a hypnotherapy session, I'm literally guiding you with your subconscious mind to those specific places that are the trigger events in your life that cause these emotions, these negative emotions. So once those are healed, we bring a different perspective. Once those are healed, then part 3 is sometimes if the person isn't exhausted by now, which they're in a deep state of hypnosis, but the brain can only function so much, especially if you're in the room with me and energy is like, you know, the body can only transmit so much negative, lower vibration energy at one time. We require a lot of water and rest and rehabilitation. If not, if you're trying to transmit too much energy at one time, you'll get cramps. Your nervous system will start to be like, it'll be hard to talk. I know after like 4-hour session, I'm like, me with someone else, I'm like, I can't, because I'm channeling that high energy, I'm like, I can't talk. Like, I gotta get this person out before like my whole speech like implodes on itself. So that 3rd part is where the higher self or their guardian angel comes through. I don't choose. Archangel Gabriel came in last week and I was like, what just happened to the room? So it was sweet, it was very sweet. So the Archangel Gabriel came in my session this past weekend, which was like the 3rd time, and that energy itself, because it's just massive, like the person actually was communicating to me through her guardian angel was speaking through her, Grace. And then all of a sudden her guardian angel stops and is like, she's not talking anymore. I'm like, what's going on? So I was like, Grace, tell me, what do you see? Because usually I can see things through my mind's eye through the client, which allows me to navigate them through their different lives more efficiently. So all of a sudden everything went white in the room and it was like intense, heavy, felt heavy energy. I wasn't sure what was going on. So finally I get some words out of Grace after a few minutes. And I said, Grace, are you seeing the Archangel Gabriel? And she's like, yes, big. And I was like, okay, all right, we're not dying, everything's fine. But what was happening is that energy comes in, and as it's clearing out all that negativity, your chakras are being aligned by this divine energy, okay? It can seem scary if you're not used to it, you know? But once again, that comes down to if you believe that you're able to be a conduit for this divine energy so that you can ground it into the space, then you can. But if you believe that you can't, then you're right. You just chose not to. It's not that you can't, you just chose not to. So anyone can do it. Anyone can channel that divine energy. In Masaji's question is that when we have this divine energy pouring through us, everything it's going to naturally go into place. And sometimes people will have, I ask the high self, before, when there's a clearing, I said, high self, please talk to me. So the person's high self is talking through them, okay? If you can imagine that. So, for instance, if you're laying down, you're relaxing, and you know you're in hypnosis, and you've already been cleared, and stage 2, we've cleared, you know, past life belief systems or belief systems from childhood or past lives, whatever. Cleared that out, and now it's time for your high self to come through. So I say, Betsy, I'm communicating to the subconscious mind of Betsy, and the conscious mind is now going to go back to that beautiful beach that we were just at a few moments ago. So bye, Betsy, have fun, enjoy your relaxation state, and now I wish to communicate with the subconscious mind, okay? So once I have the subconscious mind, it's like, okay, subconscious mind, is there anything else that we need to clear from this belief system from Betsy? So that she can be, not ignited, I think it was like a cleansing fire, that will allow Betsy to bring in the high self. Is there anything that's blocking or interfering? It's like, nope, nope, nope. Okay, there's one thing. Oftentimes it's the heart chakra. It's like, yes, there's something in her chest that won't move. It didn't get cleared. Like, okay, that's fine. We got this. So I proceed to do a little mind power, and I literally put my hand over that person where they have that block. And I tell the subconscious mind, I say, subconscious mind, my hand is right here or here and right here. Now give all of that to me. Don't worry, it won't hurt me. And so give all of that negativity to me. If anything stands in the way, let me know. Otherwise, let me know when I have all of it. And so then I'm able to dispel a bit, because, you know, at that state, I'm a higher vibration. It's not going to hurt me. So I'm still not sure why this works, though, because the person will completely be cleared, and you can see the energy of the person rises, because you can just literally see a blanket of light starts over them once all that yucky stuff is cleared. So I'm not sure if it's just suggestion to the subconscious mind that allows it to leave, or it's literally like going into my hand. I can't feel it though, but whatever, it works. So it's at this point that the high self can come in, and the chakras are usually aligned, but now the divine energy can pour through, and the high self is going to show the person or tell and share with the person what their highest potential is and what they need to be changing in their daily life and inner talk, so that they can communicate with their higher self or the guardian angels and have, you know, the most fulfilling life possible. So, super fun, right?
Yes.
Right? So it's really cool because I always follow up with my clients. So everyone always gets a second session. You know, I'm like, you already paid for it, you have to take it.
Yeah, right.
So that's my way of tricking them into coming back. You already paid for it. So when I follow up with them, they're very, you know, oftentimes they're like, I don't know what happened or how it happened, but it's working. And I'm like, that's all you need to know. Done. So once those blocks and everything are cleared, you're no longer focusing on it. It becomes an addiction when you're thinking about negative thoughts, you're thinking about the what ifs, you're thinking about those situations that are causing you to have that lower vibration, which is just opening up for fear. That's all it is, really, just fear. So once that's cleared out, you are able to connect that connection with your high self. And when you have positive program recordings that you're listening to, your mind is now able to build momentum for that positive outlook of everything. The positive outlook, I mean, I can be the saddest person, like, oh man, I'm so sad. And I'm like, whoa. Like, I don't know why. Because I've spent so much time, like since the age of 18. You know, I grew up with a very harsh environment, There we go. So at the age of 18, I realized that my thoughts were all negative. And I was afraid to sleep. That probably had a lot to do with it. I was very, very tired because I could see not just angels, but the darker things too. The things that go bump in the night. I could see them all. So I would make sure that I would just rest my body and I wouldn't close my eyes until the sun came up. And I would sleep about 2 or 3 hours. And I did that my whole life. I was terrified to sleep. So around 18, I started getting like tired. My body was crampy all the time. And I was just constantly taking naps in the middle of the day, like nodding out. Way too many energy drinks. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for cleansing my body. But there came a point where I just had to surrender to the fear, to the anxiety and everything. And I just imploded on myself. And the only thing I could do, I was like, well, I can see my thoughts. They suck. They're very upset. I am not even worthy of anything, apparently, according to my brain. So I decided I was just going to listen to positive things, pretend it was me. And every time I saw a negative thought, which took a lot of time, I know it was like I was working this one job and all I could see was these negative thoughts. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop them. I'm gonna pretend I'm taking them out, put them wherever, they're just not here anymore, and I'm just say, I'm good enough. Like Sarah Sue or whoever down the street who had the perfect life and loving parents, that's me. You know, I just pretended, let's just exchange, you know, those feelings and those emotions. So I found it interesting when I, you know, became an adult and I went to the Florida Institute of Hypnotherapy because they were teaching that forgiveness of, you know, everyone was just, my parents were just doing the best they could with the given resources that they had at that moment. And once I realized that, the judgment stopped against them because, you know, they couldn't fix how my life would turn out. It was done, right? Just like all of us, we can't change that, but we can change our perspective. So I thought it was interesting because it started with the positive thoughts, started in the subconscious mind, but I found that it was so rapid when you have the program recording that you're listening to while you sleep or while you're walking, that program recording is going to automatically take out those negative thoughts and bring in positive ones. And it's much easier than you sitting there trying to stop your thought, take each one out, throw it away, and visualize it being purified. And it's just much easier just to go to sleep with the program recording and change your behavior from negative to positive. So, does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, so what's your question?
Your high self is going to do it.
What?
Your high self will do it. If there's blocks in your chakras, then that means there's something at some point on some place that is blocking that energy from we'll just do a session later. You're fine.
So what was your more memorable QHHT session?
Oh man, my most memorable QHHT. Oh, so quantum healing hypnosis technique. That's how I began hypnotherapy, which actually I was just like, whoa, I have to get professional at this because it was just so powerful. I was like, man, when I first started, I was just reading a script and from Dolores Cannon, and I was like, it's working. People were like transforming, and you could just see. I was like, angels are here! Yay! What am I doing? How do I do this again? So I decided to become a transpersonal hypnotherapist, which transpersonal is everything you know in the spiritual. The most memorable ones are definitely when, you know, the Archangel Gabriel came through, and so those were two where they were kind of channeled through the client, for the client. Honestly, I forget about my sessions. I cut the cord, done, it's not mine. It's not mine. And what's interesting is that I can't really remember anything negative in my own life.
It's good.
It's not there. You know, some people, I've heard people call it like timeline clearing. I think we've you know, at this stage, some of us have gotten very efficient in timeline clearing. We've been busy working for the greater good. But if you know, you can do timeline clearing as well yourself. So those are the most phenomenal ones, is when someone is, so for instance, the one woman, she was like, I want this QHHT, and she's just this little body, and it was just like, the Archangel Gabriel came through and was like, bam! And she sustained that energy for over an hour, talking. So I was recording her. Archangel Gabriel had all these messages, and it was, you know, right when the COVID-19 had started, the restrictions anyway. And so we were getting all this information about, like, this is the timeline, this is what's going to happen. And before the Archangel Gabriel came through her, she had said, you know, I feel weird sometimes, and I have like this discomfort with my brother. And she's like, I don't know why, you know, so she wanted to do the session and focus on that. Well, we went back to, you know, you don't have to believe in past lives, you don't have to believe in parallel lives. Just know that there is an existence that is happening simultaneously or perhaps already happened. So whatever. Time exists as a tool for us to learn and hopefully not be manipulated. So we had to clear her timeline. So we ended up going into a place where she was like, just, you know, where they didn't have any shoes. It was like 800 BC or something. It was like very like native, like living, you know, they hid in caves. They were hiding from these animals, something like that.
Wow.
It's interesting.
That happened to me. I went back into the cave life.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty scary.
It wasn't. It was actually fascinating, but
Yeah.
But that's you. Well, that's right. I thought it was fascinating.
I'm scared.
So with her, we moved her, so there was there, so we cleared that fear by giving the tools, the fear that that personality had. So we went into that time, like that life, and that personality had fear about a specific thing. So as I was talking with her, but she is now that personality because she's in hypnosis. She believes she's that person in that lifetime. I'm communicating with her and instruct her to take all of that fear and we analyze the lifetime, you know, with my help, so that that personality could see that there wasn't anything to be afraid of because that person was living all that, their whole lifetime. In that lifetime, their whole lifetime was filled with fear from that age of 6 because of that specific situation that happened that caused them to be afraid. So what I did, I said, okay, we're going back to that 6-year-old in that personality, in that timeline. We're going to take all of that fear and all of that anxiety. We're going to put it into the ground. The earth will take care of it because that is the resource that she knew. And we're going to take care of it. And when all of it is completely there, let me know. And then I double check the subconscious mind. I said, subconscious mind, I need you to check. Can you verify that all of the negativity from that timeline has been completely cleared and put into the earth? Okay. So yes, yes, yes. Okay. So now we're doing inner work for that personality. So I instruct that small child. It's like, okay, we're gonna go subconscious mind. Let's bring this person up to their adulthood. And so for a few different events and places for that timeline, we cleared the whole life. So when I brought that person to their time of death in that lifetime, they had the best life. It was 100% transformed from the perspective that personality had before we did the healing on that timeline. Now they were happy. They had enjoyed their children. And there was nothing that life could have been better. You know, that life couldn't have been any better according to the person who is now about to pass away, who was my client in her past life. Mm-hmm. So then we bring there was another life that was holding her back. And it was interesting because she had this hatred towards somebody who happened to have been her boss in this lifetime. So it was someone who had caused her a lot of suffering in this life, this past life. And then she was like, man, I really hate that guy. She's like, I don't hate many people. In fact, just him. It's like, and he was this boss who picked on her all the time. It was just like ridiculous. And so it was interesting because when he came up in that lifetime, you know, I was like, you know, my high self says, you know, ask them to look into the eyes. You know, the eyes are the windows of the soul. So she looks into his eyes, and then she was like, oh, that guy. It's like, she's like, this guy messes with me. He made my life miserable. I was like, okay, well, let's forgive that. So we had to forgive that past life personality. Realize that, you know, that person was just doing the best they could with given resources that they had. They were bitter and angry because she was a happy person. And, you know, once that was healed, okay, so then those were all cleared. Super cool, right? Now it's time for whoever the angels want to come in, or high self. Well, this time, that was my first encounter with Archangel Gabriel. I was so scared. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. Really. I did. I was like, my heart, something's happening. So her sweet little precious body, Archangel Gabriel comes through and had a huge message for her. And And for me as well. So that one was definitely the most powerful experience and memorable. And yeah, when she came out of her session, she was like, wow. And she was completely cleared. You could see her chakras were once again in that perfect alignment, and all the energy was flowing through her in a very well and balanced way. So all of these modalities and tools can be used, whatever works for you, as long as it works. Just get it done. Clear it.
Very
All right.
good.
Thank
you.
you.